Well, Anton, thank you for showing up, man. We're glad to have you on here. I've met you a few years ago, so we haven't really got to do anything together or really work. But
He came to Empower year one.
yeah, I do remember that.
They wanted the setup right next to the Giga generator. You guys were right next to him. Remember that?
Well, thank you for the invitation. Definitely excited to be here.
Oh yeah, of course, man. How was Empower this year for you?
It was good. I think it was a very nice crowd, quality people, great conversation. I've been for 1 day, but get a lot of good contacts, and I think it was a lot of new people too, which was a great surprise for me.
Yeah, no,
you had a lot more people who had like energy infrastructure people who were kind of getting exposed to the space. The guys that stick out to me, who we need to get on the podcast, the Frontier guys.
Yeah,
right. They had like tons of like 200 megawatt sites that they were pushing, and it was like everybody was super excited to meet them. So it was more sites like what Steve Wood had with Merkle Standard, like the paper plants, those kinds of things. So that was like really exciting.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, the more people get used to or warm up to the idea of Bitcoin mining and start learning more about it, the more they're going to understand like kind of what they might have at their fingertips that they didn't realize 2-3 years ago. First Empower, it's going to get bigger and bigger. I actually got a client today from a group that was at Empower. So
all right, I'll take my cut, dude.
Your cut, checks in the mail, man. Checks in the mail. So, but yeah, let's jump into it. And so we typically are asking people like, backgrounds and all that. You are an oil and gas guy as well, so we're always kind of partial.
I think that's the right word.
Partial?
Yeah.
We're usually partial to the oil and gas guys and like to hear the stories and how they got into the Bitcoin world. So, yeah, kind of what's your journey to where you're at now, and kind of you can tell us about the company as well.
Well, absolutely. Well, I got originally my education as petroleum engineer. So I graduated back in 2004 and, joined international workforce with Schlumberger. It was very interesting journey going just from country to country and getting exposed to various upstream and downstream, projects. At the end of the day, I ended up in Texas, Midland, Texas, as one of the transfer. And it was game changing for me because first time I've seen real cowboy oil and gas industry,
Yeah.
And I remember actually at that moment, the whole mindset changed because I remember one day a geologist walked my door and said like, well, just imagine all your nice proposals and technology that you offering here, it's all great, but you have to really rethink it all over again. Imagine it's your oil field and now you need to make decision like an owner. You cannot just waste money for fun, for trying to impress someone with great technology, but you need to think like an owner, and it's totally different mindset. And this is where I end up.
That's awesome. But well, that's really cool, man. So so you started AI Pro. Am I saying that right? AI Pro Energy with the partner that I'm assuming that you're talking about right here, that kind of came to you about building the container and all that. Is that who you started AI Pro Energy with?
Originally, actually, it was two different companies.
Really?
Because for simplicity, but technically we've been together, and then there was some kind of change in partnership when my current partner Artem joined me, and we actually started our journey as a manufacturer. I can tell more about this. Of Bitcoin mining containers.
Okay. So then today, right now, what's kind of your core business that you're focusing on? We were chatting earlier, so I kind of know, but go ahead and kind of tell them about what you guys are doing right now, like your core business area.
Totally. So, Bitcoin mining containers been obviously core for us that actually set the ground for several years. And after, down cycle, we actually went more like organically as a service company, which is, we call it mining services. And huge focus for us being just continue building containers, but more in customized orders and not at big scale, but yet actually focusing on repair miners and managing sites under turnkey solutions.
Okay. So you guys are managing sites.
Yep.
What's kind of scale, size? Like what's the small end and what's the larger end that you guys would take on? And I'm asking because I've got some projects that could probably use some folks to operate them. But so what's the small side?
The smallest one being 1 megawatt and the biggest 10 megawatts.
Okay. What's the rate structure you guys kind of set up? Like, is it a per kilowatt hour fee, or is there like a list of different services you offer, and then that's kind of like an a la carte menu style? How's it work?
Yeah. At this moment, actually, we are looking at 3-tier structure. One of them is very shallow, what we call like tier 1. We just help you to set up your network, remotely support you with miners commissioning. Then more advanced one, when we go to site and help you to actually, deploy miners and start managing those mining operations. Whether you need just, someone on site every 2 weeks, or you need someone once a week, depending on the volume. Or we have operation where we have from Monday to Friday, someone on site plus remote monitoring, an auxiliary technician on call, which help you to reduce the cost and improve operation. And that third tier, most like what they call turnkey solution, we actually provide also repairs of miners. So we have vans that we can send with technician and pick up some of the broken miners, bring it back at no cost, and then obviously have very manageable rates that you can use to actually predict your cost and that's kind of how we're trying to gain this operating efficiency and transparency in those kind of operations.
So what's your kind of biggest growth area right now between you got containers, you guys are offering kind of the services. What's been the the repairs? What's been the biggest growth area for you guys, I guess, this year so far? What is it?
Yeah, I would say site management, and that would be probably the biggest one, because with site management you're gaining all this mining repairs and miner repair work, miners conversion. We've done some giant conversion. I'm talking about thousands of miners for publicly traded companies. It was a great success, actually creating like piecemeal manufacturing. When you go and actually from air to immersion, with including firmware setup, miners cleanup.
That's got to be a massive undertaking.
Sure, yeah. How is that? Especially, are you doing it in phases, like trying to get one phase done, keeping the other stuff online, and then, or how what was that process like?
Yeah, for this specific project, it was essentially pallets and pallets of miners coming to our loading dock, and then from there we just went and do all this conversion and then return back all working miners to the customer, and anything that didn't work we just put through repairs. I think one of the biggest win for us being actually implementation of kind of reporting on the progress, planned versus actual, this classical project management. Tools, and customer actually appreciate it a lot. I know as far as I know, they implemented 2 other repaired facility that been servicing them to kind of use this technology, use this processes essentially. And what it tells me again, the industry is still being developed. What is obvious in oil and gas is not obvious yet, or not implemented at that scale in Bitcoin mining. So definitely a lot of opportunities.
Right, there are a ton. And on that services thing, because that's an area that I think has a lot of room for growth, because it's hard to find people that are experienced and know what they're doing running a site. And I think a lot of people get concerned about kind of letting go of control and like handing it off to a service company like you guys right now. But I think that is an area where like groups like yourself could start differentiating themselves from some of the others that are in the game trying to do it. But where do you find the personnel? Like, are you kind of regionally focused? Are you focused only on Texas, or do you do stuff kind of all over the country, regardless of where, regardless of the region, I guess, they're in? And how do you find the people to kind of take on those jobs and work these sites for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We definitely, it's easier to service Texas just because of vans. You can just drive and pick up miners for repairs, bring them back. Occasionally, it's more than 100 miners you bring back. Of course, there is certain liabilities, and we have processes to handle it well. But we do take projects outside of Texas, in Oklahoma, and some other areas. where we fly technicians and just especially if it's smaller sites when you need just bi-weekly or once per week visits. And we try to do it in combination with some other sites around it. So anything we can do to leverage, reduce cost for the end user, customer, that's kind of our goal, because we want, long term. We're here for long term for sure.
Right. How many people too? Because this is also another area that I think people struggle with. Like, you're getting a 5 megawatt site up. I think on grid and off grid are very different, right? From a level of like involvement, and you guys are doing both, right? You'll do on grid and off grid, right?
Yeah, we've been going for off grid and on grid sites. And the biggest site, it's on grid, and with ERCOT, obviously we are familiar with curtailment and how to actually be efficient on that side as well.
So when you are deciding like how many personnel do I need to dedicate to this project, like how many more people? Start over. 5 megawatt site. How many people do you need?
For 5 megawatt
on grid.
On grid. I mean, I would say it's kind of in between just one person being, from Monday to Friday. It's still, I'm talking about one person only. Right. By the way, quick question, just one person. Yeah.
Post construction phase, like operationally, we're up and running. Full 5 megawatts. Yeah. How many do you need for that?
Just one person.
Really? Yeah. Daily, you think?
For 5 megawatts, it's a good question. I would prefer to have daily. But, if you have immersion, we might obviously be on a weekly basis, once a week.
Really? Wow. That's a big difference. Yeah. All right. So
after you commission immersion, because everyone knows it's a huge pain to commission immersion before it goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I won't cause you problems on that. So fully operational, like we're running. How does that scale up as you go up? So you go 10 megawatts, 20, 30. Like, I'm sure at a certain level you start needing more people, and maybe on a more consistent schedule, like, or even 24 hours. But where do you see a big jump from like, we need one person here every couple days checking it out, to we need to have some dedicated personnel to the site, daily? What is that? Like, where's that number?
Or does it even exist?
Yeah, does it exist?
Yeah, it all depends, how far this actually from our main base. I definitely know that when we looked at the 30 megawatts project, and we've been considering 24 hours operation. You don't want 30 megawatt to stand by even an hour. So you need to have someone on site, and that way you obviously doubling your people. I know that we actually been successfully managing a 10 megawatt site with what we call 1.5 technician.
Okay. Yeah.
We have someone.
You half person in there?
I'm guessing it's like waist up.
Yeah. Auxiliary tech.
I was thinking more like Oompa Loompa, but waist up works too.
Auxiliary tech on the call.
You ever seen the movie? Sorry, this is way off topic, but you ever seen the movie? Is this like an underrated comedy? Walk Hard with John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, Dewey, you cut me in half real bad.
Walk Hard.
Yeah, it's such a great movie. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, we're gonna have like a movie night.
We need to have a Bitcoin movie night.
Yeah, we. Damn it, that's a great idea.
There we go.
We should do that.
I like to catch up for sure.
Yes. You know what? We should start doing that.
We should do it. We should do it on that rooftop cinema.
Yes.
Even cooler.
Man, Jake always comes up with the dopest ideas. I like it.
Y'all are all invited.
I like it. All right. Sorry, I took that way off topic, but it reminded me of Dewey.
Why are there no Bitcoin movies?
Dirty Coin's coming out.
A Dirty Coin is coming out
tomorrow.
Shout out Alana. Is it coming out tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Oh, I'm so
Premiere
excited.
Tomorrow. I'm not sure where. I need to check where. Obviously I wanted to see it. She probably already cut like me out of it.
She said, Justin,
you didn't make the cut, bro. But yeah, no, I'd still want to watch it, even if she did cut me out. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, sure. I mean, one person for at least 10 megawatt was a good solution for us. If you go double, I would probably go with 2 people on site. Just knowing the failure rate, knowing what we need to do, especially it's from Monday to Friday, just enough time to go and clean those machines, do replacements on arrival.
Do people have like, let's just assume, I'm going to throw out a random number, 5% failure rate. Do people have 5% in reserves that are like not on the racks that you can just pull that off, plug that back in, get it back online, then you can go and troubleshoot and fix it? Or are you just losing 5%?
Well, definitely. I would say we actually got 10% in the reserve for biggest site when we just started. It wasn't like top machines, but it was still machines that you could just
slap in there.
Yeah, we could just swap. Over time, of course, due to different reasons, you start losing machines. You'll find offenders because even in failure rate, there will be one machine that actually, or like, I don't know, small group of machines that 2080 rules that will be eating up your revenue. And at the end of the day, you definitely need to have spare machines. And for such, you need to have container where you store them. You need to have place where you essentially to do small swaps to save the money, and only a machine that you cannot fix on the site, you pick up and just bring it back to repair facility.
Man, that's true. I didn't think about
that. Is anybody doing repairs on site?
I would not say that advanced repairs, but swaps on PSUs, fans, that's kind of straightforward.
The only reason I ask is because, like, not on ASICs, but on communications gear. That's what I did in the Marine Corps. So I was in a maintenance shop, right? So they'd bring us in, electronics. So you bring it in, you come in, we diagnose it. We've got like a workbench. I go down to the component level. I'm sitting here with all these little cool tools. I'm like, well, this piece of shit's broken. Then I go to supply, I order a new circuit board. They get it from the defense contractors, comes down, I solder it up, test good, send it back, right? Yep. So like maintenance is not like a super complex, like, you just need a workbench to like set it up. So I'm just curious if people were like actually doing that or not.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to advanced repairs, what we call like those hashboard repairs, or the most problems with those temperature sensors, and we cannot just fix them through, there is some workaround, just using firmware to bypass temperature sensors to have at least one temperature sensor working. Then you deal really with, you need to have special setup. You need to diagnose where you have those, ASICs failed and how many you have, and then you go to soldering and all 9 yards of clean, not clean, like it's kind of funny. People occasionally
like we're not eating off of
exactly.
it.
But decent this facility special setup for sure.
Okay. Do you guys, with the insight you have on kind of all the different sites that you probably are working or been involved with at some level, and we've been getting more feedback from folks that we've had on about this as well, but what would be like when you see the differences in these sites, if you were setting one up today in Texas, what kind of site would you be setting up?
Well, in Texas, I've been before just operating site and with ERCOT demand response program. I've been a little bit concerned about on grid, and I've been all about off grid. Yeah, just looking for natural gas generators and low cost, and I truly think it's a huge advantage. But in terms of uptime, it feels like because of natural gas generators and a couple of other issues, I've been more inclined to go on grid and trying to get those bonuses in Texas. It would be from August to September. A lot of curtailment going on, and some of those curtailments, it's the price jumped to $1,000 per megawatt. So it's just crazy.
In some places, man.
I had an interesting conversation with our boy Jeff Berkey right before we hopped in here.
Yeah.
I was talking about how my thesis is that off-grid is going to become more and more in vogue due to, this was a major talking point in Power too, just due to the fact that all of these AI data centers, like, yes, they care about cost of power, but they're like, fuck it, we can pay way more than Bitcoin miners can. It's going to become hyper competitive, especially with the scale of this. And those guys can't go off grid, right? So this is like where Bitcoin miners can now scurry off and find cheaper sources of energy. And so I think it kind of comes back around to where it's like off grid's kind of. I think it's always been sexy, but I think it's going to become more popular again.
I think, I could see that, because like you're right. I mean, in the AI stuff, they have to have almost 24. They can't have downtime.
Yep.
And so they're going to scoop up. They can't pay more. I saw something today about, some AI sites are looking all the way down to 5 megawatts. So like that's basically they're going to start
coming into our territory.
Right, they're going to start scooping up a lot of stuff.
And guess what? They're way better capitalized than we are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's just a reality. They've got a lot more money at their disposal, which this is going to get me tinfoil hat time. So I'm sorry, Anton, but like this is what and I guess this ain't really tinfoil hat. I guess this is more politically focused. But like the issues I get with like the rhetoric about ESG issues with Bitcoin mining and energy consumption, AI is going to end up dwarfing this stuff. Don't you think?
I think if anything, yeah, it's a Trojan horse to nullify that argument. People are like, oh, okay, well,
right.
I use AI.
Right.
So I guess Bitcoin mining's not so bad.
Right, right. Maybe that's the route it'll go. Because I'm like, how do you like honestly go and have that conversation about like Bitcoin energy consumption is bad, but hey, we'll set up AI. Alana brought it up, about pornography, like the amount of energy used for that is
it's been cut back in Texas due to the new
Texas.
Such a disappointment.
VPNs are up.
VPNs skyrocketing. VPN stocks are
bullish
up.
On VPNs in Texas right now.
Yeah. So, but like, how do we sit here and have this discussion about that and not like just look at like the elephant in the corner that is AI? Like, there's huge amounts of power that they're going to use, huge, and then their footprint for that usage is drastically bigger than what the footprint that Bitcoin mining uses for the same energy usage. It's not even close. So,
do we have any metrics on that in terms of like what it is?
Man, it's a major difference.
Because that's the same talking point as we have around energy density of oil and gas versus solar versus wind, right?
It's not even close.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious what an
I'll
average footprint
bet
would be.
this is just a guess, but I know you can put like 10 megawatts on 1 acre, right? 1 acre of land, you can put 10 acres or 10 megawatts of Bitcoin mining. For something comparable, I bet you for 10 megawatts of AI, you're going to need like 10 acres. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
10 times.
Yeah.
So
huge footprint.
Now, don't quote me on that. Like,
if anybody has any numbers on this and you're listening, ping one of us and let us know, or really about any stats ever, because I just want to be in the know what's happening.
We don't have a Jamie yet, so
we don't have a young Jamie to pull up stats for us.
Right. So if you want to shoot them to us, just do it. But yeah, okay. So going back to the services stuff, because I do, and you being from Schlumberger, that's very fitting that now you're going to make like a Schlumberger of Bitcoin mining. That's good. But yeah, so how do people kind of, what's the bid process you go through on it? Is you just want to know air cooled, size, and like what their level of involvement they want you guys to be, or is there like just a flat price that you quote them at if it's 5 megawatts, 10 megawatts, whatever? And I am asking for myself as well. So
totally. Yeah. We usually try to actually, enter probably the biggest things that start, our work together. And it could be just simple stuff. We'll help with deployment of a network. And from there we can expand and just showing our capabilities to do more and more. And at the end of the day, we end up doing a whole turnkey solution when we actually not only manage inside, but also doing the repairs. In terms of how would we bid, we definitely would provide, a fixed price for on-site operations, with the terms, what is included in the scope and what is not. Typically, I've seen some companies trying to kind of overbid, saying, well, not only we come and manage your site, but also we repair, and not only we repair it, but also there will be fixed amount of money that you're going to spend on spare parts of those repairs without knowing anything.
Yeah.
And I was just like all the time wondering, that's actually a wild guess, but you can just use some kind of assumptions, probably not as bad, but there's definitely various strategies how people approach it, but we actually approach transparently, saying the price and then saying the fixed price per repair. From simple to advanced, which is really so simple with the swaps. Advanced would be just hashboard repairs.
Right. Okay. If you were setting this, and I'm firing off, so sorry. If you're setting one up today, were you going air cooled or you going immersion or hydro?
And why?
And why? Yes.
Definitely. For air cooled, probably the most easiest one. I would definitely take all lessons learned on air-cooled containers that we actually got as a manufacturer, and try to implement that right away. I've seen kind of, we've been coming on some sites a little bit late and seeing what's happening there. If you don't have proper filtering system, you have some water moisture coming inside. So if you address all this and you won't be greedy on the space, not trying to get really high density inside, especially in Texas, you'll be better off staying with air-cooled.
Really? Okay.
And that's kind of
is that from a cost perspective, failure rate perspective?
Yeah, good question.
I would say like for my the cost probably it's one of them for sure, but I would say like whole operating view, operating cost plus capex, like at the project level, and it's just simpler, going with air cooled in my view. Yet I should say that we've been manufacturing some of the immersion system and deployed some in Texas for B2C market at some point. And I fell in love in immersion, and I love overclocking machines. And we got some cases when we even S19 machines with 110 terahash, we got to 170 on chillers. It's so cool to see all this, but at the end of the day, efficiency, obviously, in reducing, and you consume a lot more power. And as you know, with unless you go to off-grid, it's just harder to find electricity price less than less than 7.5 cents for hosting. And Halving will be in 4 hours.
Right.
Actually, it's a good point.
I know. Yeah. So it's like
it will change.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
On that, why does everybody? Maybe I missed it on Twitter. Why does everybody care about the halving block? Like, everybody's saying that one's going to be somehow disproportionately worth more.
What
are your thoughts on this?
I don't get caught up in that at all. I'm like, it's
just another block.
It's another block, dude. Like I think for people maybe, and I'm guessing totally, I'm not an expert on ordinals at all, but I'm wondering if it has something to do with that. Like somebody's going to be excited. They got this block and they got something associated with it. They won this, like it's maybe on that angle, perhaps. I don't know.
I think it'd be cool if you were the one who got it and you like got the golden ticket and you got a trip to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory or something. That'd be awesome.
But I'm like, I don't understand it either.
Congrats, you were the first one to get fucked.
Right. Right. Now mining sucks for a little while. You know what I mean? It's like this is gonna hurt. I don't know. I don't get it. Do you have any idea why?
I don't actually, on the specific question, don't have any answer.
I don't either. I'm like, I don't know. The person to ask, Charlie Spears, Will Foxley probably would know.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably a lot of people that probably feel like us, where we're like, I don't get it. Like,
yeah.
I'm here to mine Bitcoin.
I also do feel like it's kind of weird to celebrate the halving.
It is.
Like Steve Barber's comment of like, why would I celebrate half my revenue?
Right.
Like I'm losing that.
Could you imagine?
And I agree and I totally agree. And I'm like, maybe it's because there's a lack of drama or things on the horizon in the Bitcoin space outside of this. So it's like the only central focal points. We're like, fuck it, let's celebrate. We celebrate everything. But it is kind of weird to me when you think about what you're celebrating.
Yeah. Like, I guess if you're not a miner,
you're like,
then you're like, cool, the supply of the thing that I love that I'm investing in is cut in half. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're excited. But like the miners who support the network, it's kind of not the greatest day for them as a business. So maybe you should tamper your excitement and your parties and champagne popping, because some of us that are trying to prop up the network are going to be getting kicked in the balls tonight. You know what I mean? So,
noticed at least, treasury reserve for publicly traded companies doubled, tripled, just before halving, as well as I heard. And some of this, like what I heard, like 50,000 Bitcoins right now, just in treasury for top 4 companies, something like this. But
man,
if this is true, obviously now it will be twice scarce to get them.
Yeah.
And if they're efficient and don't need to sell off, it might be something there, but not for traditional miners.
No. It's not Christmas today. or tomorrow or whenever tonight. It's
so less smiling, huh?
Right, right. Like I feel like I need to go home and like turn the lights off.
This is almost like Dia de los Muertos. You know? Like who's gonna survive? You know,
I've been one of those.
That sounded really good, man. I was
waiting on Spanish a little bit.
Jackson is too. He's got his Duolingo going. Ding. Well, yeah. So okay. So back to some of the mining stuff. When you guys, I know you guys started off, when I first met you, the containers were kind of the big focus of your business, at least it seemed that way. If it's not as big a focus anymore, I understand, but like, have you seen a change in the market this year as far as demand and whatnot? Because I've talked to some groups and they're like, oh yeah, we're doing great, increased revenue. I've talked to other groups like, yeah, it's been kind of slow, and it just depends. But I think a lot of the companies that are having like crazy years, a lot of that was done off of one deal they landed, like one big deal with one of the, one of the big publics. Yeah. So have you seen a demand for your containers or anything kind of going up, or has it kind of stayed flat or basically what it was? And then what do you think is going to happen? Because you brought up the halving. What are you seeing over the next 3-4 months, or your expectations for that?
Yeah, for containers demand, I would say market definitely became more concentrated. There is so many, used containers on the market at this moment, and uncertainty for smaller miners in terms of what will happen, especially with Bitcoin price, because everyone more uncertain about what will happen and how much working capital you need to preserve after halving, before you get to the super cycle that everyone excited about.
It seems like there's a ton of capital that's been on the sidelines for like 6 months. Like you're saying, they're like, we don't know if there's gonna be price appreciation. How fast is it gonna get here?
Yep.
Probably not gonna dip. Could. Who fucking knows? But it seems like everybody's kind of waiting to make those kind of big decisions until after the halving.
That's what it seems like to me too. I've even had some clients tell me like, hey, we're gonna pull back on some stuff right now. We just wanted to wait and see kind of how things are going to shake out over the next few months, and so they're really not making big splashes
on that, because we've been asking everybody, and maybe we'll have like a March Madness type thing. So you got the closest. What is your 12-month price guess? And nobody really knows. Come on, let's be honest. What do you think? What do you think Bitcoin's gonna be in 12 months?
Well, I would guess we'll get to $100,000 before the end of the year. I know some forecasts obviously call it a super bull cycle, and bull cycle would be just staying somewhere at 80. But again, not looking at the cheat sheet, just like my guess, I would say it's supposed to be different milestone. We already got milestone of $60,000 before.
Right.
Now we got 73,000. So we should get to something bigger, and those 6 numbers would be very, very exciting and create so much optimism, right? So,
which is crazy.
I think that's pretty conservative, to be honest with you.
I do too. I've seen a lot of people just throwing 150 around. Now we don't know. You know what I mean?
Nobody really knows.
We know from oil and gas too. It's like, oh, what's oil going to be? I remember having companies like, I was working on a deal with Chevron. They're like, well, we're forecasting 5 years from now, oil price will be this and natural gas will be this. And it's like, nobody freaking knows. You know how many variables go into this thing, and like one war popping up can change things dramatically. And obviously things could get really ugly here soon. If
on that, Civil War just hit theaters. Tinfoil hat time.
I watched it.
You watched already?
It sucks.
No.
It sucks.
Really?
Sucks, dude. I was so disappointed.
Are you serious?
They do a horrible job, and I would love to have anybody come talk to me about this. We should do a whole show on this. I was so disappointed because it literally did not tell you anything about what caused the Civil War. It didn't talk anything about why Texas and California teamed up. It didn't say anything other than 2 like little hints. Well, the fact that Texas and California, the 2 largest economies in the U.S., teamed up. They're the Western Front.
That's really unlikely for one.
Right, for politically.
Yeah.
But so those 2 team up and they're taking on, there was like one reference to Florida being a part of it somehow. But then there was one comment in there about the Canadian dollar being worth way more than the US dollar. And it wasn't even it was just a reference. Like Kristen Dunst is like trying to buy some gas. I don't care if I'm giving spoiler alerts. Nobody should watch the movie. But Kristen Dunst is buying some gas. And
now I know I'm not watching the movie.
Right. She's like, I'll give you $300 for a full tank of gas and freaking some sandwiches or something. Or $300 for a tank of gas. The guy's like, well, that'll get you a sandwich and a bag of Skittles around here. And she's like, Canadian. And he's like, ooh, whoa. Canadian dollars? Ooh, yeah, take it. And it's like,
okay. She was like, I'll give you 300 sats. And he's like, I'll take it.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome. But like, that was the only real kind of inkling about what happened here. Yeah. You know what I mean? What caused the war?
You're kind of in the dark the whole time, and it really doesn't give you a glimpse.
I like waited the entire time to find out why the war happened and what is the backstory and like how did things get to where they're at? Because that was what was. That's why I wanted to see the movie. Is like how close are we? Because right now you look at like the world we live in the U.S. There's a huge polarization.
That's why I thought the timing of the movie,
right,
and the hype that they built around it was very interesting. Because I'm like, I don't think we've ever been there.
They tried to make it a movie about war journalism. That was it. Oh. That was it. But there was no explanation about anything at all. And it was just like, to me, it was a weak attempt at like trying to scare people about a war in America that they could have done a good job. They missed the mark bad, in my opinion.
All right, Alana, we got to make a real one.
We do. Alana, come on, step up and take it on. Take on the project. Finish the story. But yeah, sorry. It was so disappointing though, dude. I really wanted to see it. I was like waiting because I'd read about it and
I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not.
I've been the last 4 movies I've went and watched. I walked out of 3 of them, and I should have walked out of this one. And I'm not that guy. I've never done that before. But these movies were so bad. It was just like,
what was the other 3?
I've gone to where. Oh, dude, I don't even want to say them on camera. It was friggin' ridiculous. Oppenheimer was the last good one I saw. I thought that was good.
Great.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
It's the last one I saw that was good at the movie theater.
Yeah.
What was it? I went because my mom was in town and she wanted to go watch a movie, and I can't remember the name, but it was like this chick, Sydney Sweeney. I can't remember. Well, she like meets some dude. It was terrible. I was like, we watched 15 minutes. I was like, I gotta go. I can't. I got too much stuff going on, like work. I can't sit here and do this. So I'm like, Mom, do you want to stay and watch this? She's like, no. And I'm like, okay, let's go. So we bounced. Then we went and saw. This one was horrible. Beekeeper was terrible, horrible. It was Jason Statham movie, which I mean, they're all kind of the same.
Come on, you know what you're getting into.
You know what you're getting into. But like, dude, it was so bad. This guy like basically tracks down all of like the CIA folks involved and all these like mafia dudes
honey from
involved.
My bees.
Right.
I'm gonna kill your whole family.
And so like I'm realizing as they're telling the story, this all happened in one day. Yeah. Someone kills someone that was related to affiliated with the CIA somehow. He tracks down everyone, kills all these people in all these different areas in one day. So like, this
that's
is
just a Tuesday for me. So that's real. That's accurate. But
typical day.
Yeah, typical day at the office. And then I can't remember what the other one was, but I was like, this is so freaking. This is another one that really disappointed me. The Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I read the book. Book was awesome.
I watched the first 2 hours. I never made it to the other hour and a half.
It didn't get any better, bro.
Really? I do know. I think Sturgill Simpson was in it, so I wanted to see his role in that.
Yeah, I like Sturgill Simpson.
Sturgill Simpson's awesome.
I think he's got a song in Civil War, and it's pretty. Like, there's some good scenery, like some cool visual shots they have, but like the story. That's what was so bad about that is that they actually had some decent action stuff and like some shots that were decent, like cool visually. But man, the story was just fucking brutal.
Speaking of tinfoil hat shit, have y'all seen Ozempic Trump?
I have not. No.
Have you seen any pictures of him recently?
Is he like freaking skinny?
People were talking about it. He's obviously on Ozempic. Like he's lost. He's lost.
But dude,
weight.
he's going through so much freaking stress.
I think it's Ozempic, dude. I think
you think so?
I think he's tapping into his second wind at like 82 years old.
Oh man, dude, I don't know. I know this would have.
All I know is the world's about to get really funny again.
So I had a guy. We just moved. Sarah and I found a place up further into South Dallas, and the guy who was like doing a bunch of the work when we first got in there was from Croatia, and he was talking to me about, like, I end up talking to everybody typically, and he was telling me about when he got here, and I'm asking about Bitcoin, and I'm talking all this stuff, and he just started going on about, like, the U.S. isn't what, like, I was told it is. And he's like, the way that they would show us on the media and on TV and, like, the things that you're told about it, he's like, then I get here, and he's like, I don't want my kids here. I don't want them to go to school here. The schools are not good. Like, they're just, teaching you in this, like, very, like, it's all for the test kind of deal. And it's multiple choice. And there's not a lot of thinking that goes into it. And he had issues with, like, the way the society seems to be moving from a moral standpoint. And he's like, I just don't want my family to be here anymore. And I'm like, man, geez, that's just such an indictment on where we're at as a country compared to what it has always been when I was a kid and growing up. And granted, I am older than you guys probably. I know I'm way older than you. But, like, that's not how it was before. Before, it was always like people send their kids to school here, to go to school here. I had a Middle Eastern friend who had told me from when he was a kid to where he is now as a parent, he's like, it's drastically different. Like, we couldn't wait to get to go to the U.S. to go to school. We couldn't wait to get to, all of our family wanted to send all the kids to school in the U.S. He's like, now I will not send my kids to the school in the U.S. And it's just like, that's a short period of time for such a dramatic change. You're talking like 20 to 25 years. That's not that long. So I'm telling you, like, you got teenage kids, right? And so do you think, like, in Russia, do those kids have phones at the same age, and are they doing the same things?
It's globalized now. It doesn't
okay.
matter at this moment. But yeah, they call actually, it's funny because I do have business related to computer vision, human motion analysis, right, and some of them related to assessing posture. We just start looking at this.
Oh yeah.
And actually, there is they coined the term. It's called tech neck.
Okay. Yeah, tech neck. Yeah.
So it's exactly like this, and you can see, like, some kids really in this shape, sitting with those phones, and just that stuff really disappointed me. So us actually
tech neck. I haven't heard that. I'm gonna tell my son that. I'm like, you're tech neck, dude. That is.
It's
crazy.
hard to fix it,
Yeah. How do you go back? You know what I mean? It's so hard when you move the line. It's so hard. Like, you can take little pieces back and move back, but, like, it's that pendulum, like it swings wider and wider all the time, and it takes longer to get back to the middle, but then it also means it goes further the other way. And it's like that Elon Musk tweet he had where he was like, shows him in the middle, left and right, on either side of him, and they're about equal. And then a few years go by, and it's like one side moved way further, the other side's moved a little bit. And then before too long, you look up and you're like, you're in the same spot, but you're classified as, like, a radical conservative or a radical liberal, whatever whatever the issue that you're on, whatever side on. And it's like, man, I haven't even moved. I haven't been in the same position, but, like, everybody else is, like, decided. And who's the ones who decide? The RNC and the DNC? Like, are they the ones who pull all the levers and knobs and decide what policy is good, or is it schools and media? Like, there's so many different things that are freaking.
It's all marketing and messaging to sway votes. So I found out Finland and Denmark, two of the happiest, and also I said, what are the happiest countries? Those two came back, and I said, okay, rank these as having the best education. Finland, once again, was number one. Denmark was number two. Other countries that made the cut: Switzerland, Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Austria, New Zealand, Iceland. I put Israel in here. Gonna say I'm gonna go and stay away from that one for a while.
Yeah.
Really interesting that a lot of these are kind of sort of concentrated in the same part of the world.
Yeah, the Netherlands area, Amsterdam, all that kind of stuff.
Like you could probably draw
like the really cool area I want to go to real bad. Yeah. Where was the U.S. on the list?
It just gave me the top 10, and we didn't make the list.
Yeah, it's like 23rd. Yeah. We're not even top 20.
Yeah.
And some of that, I think, is actually frankly, a bunch of babies that we have living here complaining all the time about everything, because that's what we've turned into, which is another sign of where we're at in the cycle, the life cycle of our country and our society, is that I feel like we've peaked on problems that they've gotten so small. You know what I mean? That the problems that we have today are not the same problems that like our grandparents had, or
the Cold War and the Great Depression and Vietnam,
like, and all this stuff,
Korea,
we were battling to gain economic status and dominance around the world, and we haven't had to do that for a long time. And like, so the fights that like, you know, the folks would have in El Salvador, wherever, where they're trying to figure out, I want to stay safe from gang violence and I want to feed my family and make enough, you know, to put a roof over their head. That's like the basics that you need, right? We have been so far past that as a society and as a whole, the problems we start looking for then are dealing with really, and I know this would offend a lot of people, but I don't care. It's dealing with like what bathrooms you go into, all the like issues that are like very ridiculous societal issues that I understand. I'm not downplaying that people are impacted negatively about it sometimes, but like to act as a country, like for that to be one of your most hot button issues is like, are we serious right now? Like for real?
We can go deep into some tinfoil hat shit on this, because think of some of the people that Joe Rogan's had on his podcast who were like behind the scenes on Facebook, and it was like, you know, the top 8 of the most like radical like Facebook groups.
Oh, really?
Are run by like Chinese,
right,
state-owned kind of groups, and it's like this much larger.
It's part
like
of the warfare,
art of war, long-time warfare.
Right.
You kill your enemies from kind of within. Sounds like crazy conspiracies, but guess what? There's fucking facts.
Yeah. I saw this was a Russian guy that gave an interview I'd seen before. And I'm sorry we're doing this to you, right? but like
we were like, hey, come talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, we're talking about all weird conspiracy theories, but like I saw an interview this guy was talking. This is back like either late 80s, early 90s, and he's talking about he was a member of the KGB and a spy, and he's talking about how to basically demoralize a country, right? And he says it takes one generation to do it, and it starts with basically making things to where you can't really identify what's true and what's not true. And we're clearly well into that like phase or status or reality in our country and in the world. Honestly, you can do deep fakes, you can do anything with AI. Like and what we have at our fingertips and disposal, I think, is just not even scratching the surface of what the governments have at their fingertips. I think it's probably way more
Octopus
advanced.
Murders.
Octopus.
Have you watched it?
I started watching it again. I started it over again because when you were talking about it, I haven't finished it. I need to. I'm gonna do that this weekend.
I might watch it again just because
it's that good.
Yeah, it's that good. It's so much information. You're like, wait a second. I've got to like that meme where Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm like, I'm trying to figure all this stuff out.
Right,
it's all coming together.
Well, see, that's why I'm not going to movies anymore. Full circle. Back to we got those. I need to go watch that. Anton, it's Friday. We'll let you get out of here. Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry. Took it down the path of all the conspiracy theories, but well, look, man, I appreciate it. I think that what you guys do is of a lot of need, and I think it's actually it's got a lot of legs to it. I think you're probably in a space that it's a good thing to be in that space because there's not a lot of groups that are offering what you guys offer, but I do think there's a lot of groups that need to utilize the services that you guys provide. So. Yeah, man, thanks for coming on and appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it for invitation.
Yeah, anytime. You want to come back, we'll have a tinfoil hat ready for you next time we get here. We need to actually make the tinfoil hats. We do. We have the tinfoil, we just haven't made the hats. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.